It's Thursday, the 3rd of August, 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's get going. Story number 1, the Aussie dollar has hit its lowest level since March after the Reserve Bank surprised traders by not lifting interest rates on Tuesday.
The local currency fell as low as 65.8 US cents yesterday, the lowest since June 1. In the short term, currencies move around in part due to interest rates. For example, if a global investor like a super fund thinks it will get a better return buying US government bonds rather than Aussie government bonds, then it puts its money into North America. Buy US dollars pushes the Aussie down. Following the Reserve Bank's decision on Tuesday, there's now a growing number of economists who think the central bank might not lift rates again. Flow that through to investors. Rates aren't rising. That's working against the local currency. Now, in the medium to longer term, the Aussie dollar is considered a commodity currency. The price of things like coal and iron ore play a really big role in its value. Given the relative weakness in the Chinese economy at the moment, which of course is the biggest buyer of Australian commodities, the local currency ain't getting much help on that front either.
Sean, quick question before we move on. We always talk about the Aussie dollar against the US dollar. Why is that? And I suppose also how is it going against other currencies? But first, tell me why.
Well, mostly we talk about the Aussie-US exchange rate because commodities are almost all priced in US dollars. It is by far the most influential exchange rate. We're selling coal to China, it's priced in US dollars. Also, the US dollar is considered the globe's reserve currency, the one that everyone heads to when things get tough. It's kind of the benchmark currency. Now, since the Aussie dollar was floated in late 1983, the exchange rate's been as high as $1.10, as low as 50 US cents. 66 US cents is on the low side, low 70s about normal. You mentioned other exchange rates against the euro at its lowest level in 3 years. Same deal for the English pound. Against the yen, we're actually doing pretty well. Against the Kiwi dollar, it's about average. Same with the Indian rupee.
All right, on to story number 2 now. Sean, and Woolworths is facing more than 1,000 criminal charges for allegedly failing to pay long service leave to hundreds of Victorian workers.
The Victorian Wage Inspectorate launched action in the Melbourne Magistrates Court alleging Woolworths and its Woolstar subsidiary underpaid 1,235 former employees more than $1 million in long service leave. The offence opens up the supermarket giant to maximum fines of $10,000 for each day underpayment occurred. Individual underpayments allegedly ranged from $250 to more than $12,000 between 2018 and 2021. Now, Woolies said it identified discrete instances of potential non-compliance and self-reported the underpayments. It's a criminal offence for an employer to fail to pay long service leave in Victoria. Interesting one to watch this.
Yeah, certainly will be. Story number 3 is an interesting one as well, Sean. Melbourne has overtaken Sydney to become the country's biggest hotel market for the first time on the back of a building that's delivered nearly 5,000 new hotel rooms since 2020.
Before the onset of the pandemic, the two cities were almost neck and neck, with Sydney offering 21,634 rooms. Melbourne was at 21,597. However, there's been a building boom in the southern city. Nearly 5,000 rooms have opened in less than 4 years at the Ritz-Carlton, Hilton, W Hotels, for example. Melbourne's increased its accommodation market by 23% to almost 26,500 rooms, according to a new report by JLL. Sydney's growth has been much slower, just 13 new hotels and 2,200 rooms. With a further 1,800 hotel rooms under construction in both cities, Melbourne's expected to end the current growth cycle with almost 27,500 rooms. Sydney will have 24,400.
Okay, on to story number 4. The number of Qantas passengers upset about refunds, being unable to use $400 million worth of credits issued since the pandemic, poor service and flight cancellations all jumped sharply last year, according to unreleased data.
A draft document from the airline customer advocate that's been held back from release since April, but obtained by the Financial Review, shows the number of complaints about Qantas was sharply higher than pre-COVID, even though passenger numbers are much lower. The ACA said eligible complaints in 2022 rose to 1,426. That's up 138% on a year earlier, but it received a total of more than 6,900 complaints from customers. Qantas alone accounted for a disproportionate high 4,000 of the total. That's 4,000 out of the 6,900, followed by its subsidiary Jetstar, then Virgin Australia and Regional Express. While the high number year on year isn't a surprise, given how many more flights took off last year, what is a surprise is that the number is well above pre-COVID levels.
Okay, last one, story number 5. China's internet overseer has announced new regulations, Sean, to prevent children from spending too much time on their smartphones.
Good luck. The regulations published by the Cyberspace Administration of China are some of the harshest restrictions on internet use in the world. Non-adult children, not sure about that definition, non-adult children won't be allowed to access the internet from mobile devices from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Other restrictions include a maximum of 2 hours mobile usage for kids between the ages of 16 and 18. Unclear how regulators intend to enforce the proposed ban, though mobile carriers and services often require real name registration. Still, tell your kids not to be looking at their phones.
Yes, I think you said it well when you said good luck. There we go, Sean, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 3rd of August, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also check out our weekly sister podcast called How Do They Afford That? This week's episode is all about how to ask for a pay rise and increase the likelihood that your boss will say yes. We'll put a link in today's show notes. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.